Okay everyone, so we are here with today's Q&A and we have some reports and let's go on.
Avasaraya Bhante, we have 10 reports. Report number 1, sitting meditation, primary object breath. Breath became subtle after some time and could not differentiate the in-breath and out-breath. Experience gaps between breath and gap increased. Again, breath became prominent and started observing. Much merit for advising to obscure the thoughts during Dhamma talk. Most chatter was negative and complaining. Gradually, thoughts became less and less. Only observer was present, alone, almost 40% mindful. Walking meditation. Primary object, focus on feet. After some time, only walking without any thoughts. Similar to sitting, only observer was present. When experienced pain on calf muscle, started observing the pain. Walking happened effortlessly and mind wandering was comparatively less. No sooner mind observed that it was wandering, it came to the primary object again. There was that.
Okay, first the breath is changing and you can't differentiate between the in-breath and out-breath, but still you feel some kind of a breathing is there, right? Sometimes it becomes prominent, again goes back to being subtle, right? So that very process you have to continue observing. You are still, there's long way to go, so you can continue that very observation and let us know the progress that you are making. Then the second point is that inner chatter. You feel that the inner chatter is negative, so that's a good observation, right? What we do is we are not trying to change it right away. Instead, we'll simply observe, be the observer of this negative inner chatter. And when you be the observer of that negative inner chatter, you are no longer feeding it. Earlier you used to feed it without knowing. Probably unknowingly, unmindfulness allowed it to feed. But now what you do is simply observe. Be the observer of this negative inner chatter, and that very observer will reduce the energy or the power given to this inner chatter, right? So that's the very idea. You can start this in meditation, but especially when you go out to the world, notice what type of inner chatter you have. When you work, when you deal with other people, right? So throughout the day, it's going to be a continuous observation, checking what type of inner chatter is there, and gradually when you do that observation, that inner chatter loses the power, and that's how the practice can help you to make it better, to feel more peaceful inside.
Report number 2, walking meditation. I felt the sole of feet touching the concrete steps, which were wet and rough surface. Outer walking path, I felt the wet sand and little water. I was able to focus on steps more time than breath during sitting meditation. Focus on walking meditation, more clear and long, more focused. When monkeys showed up, I looked at them. I stood and didn't walk for some time. Then I continued. I felt guilty. I came for meditation, not to look at monkeys. But still, I am so attracted to monkeys. I like to look at them. Sitting meditation. Morning meditation. Instead of breath, I focused on the sounds of birds. My focus was longer than focusing on breath. Listening to bird sounds gave more peace for longer time. Observing breath continuously gives me blissful moments, but very short. Mind wanders very often. Very slow progress on expanding my focus. Daily activities. Able to eat the meal mindfully. Felt the mixture of food on my fingers. Chewed mindfully with feeling the taste.
Yes, so you can enjoy being in the nature a little. That's fine. That's okay to enjoy. The monkeys, they make the environment interesting, right? Otherwise, it will be a so boring kind of an environment. Especially those yellow monkeys, right? they go crazy, and they make everyone else crazy as well. Even probably like half an hour ago, they came, surrounded my kuti, and whatever the things that outside, they will turn it upside down and go, right? So that type of a behavior they have. Curious, whatever they see, they are curious. They go, they check it. If there is a closed bag, they imagine a bag full of food inside, right? Maybe you have some books, but still they see it as some kind of a food that's inside the bag. And they are giving nice strawberries, right? You pay attention to something else for a few seconds, they will jump, they will grab your bag and vanish, right? So that type of behavior they have. It's okay to enjoy the nature a little. That's fine. As long as you are in the present moment, it's fine, right? So even the bird sounds, it's usually in the present moment. Unless you start thinking about what type of a bird this is, right? And try to catch one, something like that. So you can see the very first experience is in the present moment. Then it starts storytelling. It goes on thinking different things, right? So that very first experience, you can really enjoy it. It's okay. Bird sounds, then probably towards the evening, insect sounds, and sometimes if you are lucky, you get to hear the cicadas, right? So all those different orchestras are playing throughout the day. Especially on rainy days, you can see the frogs singing along, and they make a very nice orchestra, right? So all those type of natural things are there. It's okay to enjoy it a little. That's fine, but you have to make sure that you somehow adhere yourself to the present moment, right? The sounds are originated in the present moment, but then you start storytelling. That's the issue, right? So otherwise, seeing and hearing the present moment is fine. That type of observation is okay. While doing your meditation, you can take a little break and simply enjoy the surrounding. That we can't say no. It's okay to enjoy. It's okay to enjoy that peaceful surrounding. But make sure to continue your usual mindfulness as walking, sitting, and daily activities.
Report number 3. Most Venerable Bhante, many thanks for providing a very simple explanation to Vachi Sankara, initial thought and sustained thought. Kaya Sankara, hope this is the breath.
Yes.
Few questions, so shall I read all, Bhante? Or?
Yes.
Kaya Sankara, hope this is the breath. Mano Sankara, feeling and perception. Could you please explain this in a simple way connecting to the practice? It seems that 4 aspects of 5 aggregates are sankharas, and consciousness is the awareness of the sankhara. Is this understanding correct? Could you please simply explain this connecting to the practice?
Yes, now Vachi Sankhara, or the verbal formations, the minimum level is identified as initial thought and sustained thought, right? That we explained yesterday. And when it comes to bodily things, bodily formations, right, the minimum, the lowest level is identified as breath. And when it comes to mental formations, feeling and perception. So those are the minimum levels. And you can see in meditation how these things come and go, right? Especially how you feel the disappearance of Vachi Sanskara or verbal formations. How you see disappearance of bodily formations, breath. It disappears. You feel like you are not breathing anymore, right? So you can see the disappearance of bodily formations. Then the third one, mental, that also you can see in meditation, the feeling and perception disappears. That happens, right? So you go blank for few seconds. Especially in the sitting session, you can really notice this. You go blank for few seconds and then you come back. While being in that blank, you don't feel that you are there. You can't reflect that you are there. Only after returning to feeling and perception, you say that I am sitting, I am meditating, but the previous few moments were blank, right? So that type of experience we get, even the mental formations. So these things we can discuss further during the coming few days, but this is the basic idea. Then regarding the 5 aggregates, you have the body, then the feeling, then the perception, then the mental formations, and consciousness, right? So all these first 4 things they are considered as, you can say, nama rupa, or otherwise mind and matter. That part is there. Then the consciousness is separate. That is the observer of these things, right? So that type of a rough idea we can get. But the important thing is that you have to observe these things. You have to, through the practice, you can experience different parts of this. That is the important one. Even the formations, bodily, verbal, and mental, you can see how you minimize or go to the minimum level, and how that minimum level is also disappearing. Sometimes in meditation, that part is also disappearing, right? So those experiences are important, and when the, let's say, bodily formations, when the breath disappears, you no longer feel a body. That's the minimum level that was there and it disappeared. Instead, now you totally probably like gotten rid of the body for a short while, then again the breath appears, right? So that way we can experiment with these things. It's okay to take your time and really experience them. That's the important thing. So continue, and we will try to discuss further in the coming few days.
Report number 4, sitting meditation. Primary object, breath at nostrils. Details. After the disappearance of the breath, I sense the hardness of the touch points of the body. When I want to observe one location, it disappears. It is arising and disappearing at those points, and at times a deep breath appears and disappears. At this time, awareness is there, and it seems that this awareness, or the knower, is seen as I. Although it is not possible to comprehend presence of a constant body arising of different points and disappearance of same, is being identified as I. Time with the primary object may be about 5 to 10 minutes, as it disappears after that. Total duration of sitting session 1 to 2 hours. In some sitting sessions, I see some level of stiffness in the body, which supports me to keep the body straight without a pain for a long period of time. Sometimes feels that body has integrated to the environment as boundary cannot be felt. Is it okay to have the above stiffness? Is it okay to do sitting meditation for 2 to 3 hours at a stretch? Mindful eating. When I did mindful eating today, I felt like I got both preeti and sukha. It was a great feeling.
Okay, right. Interesting observation. Whenever, let's say, you pay attention to the breathing and gradually it disappears, then you have certain other signs of your body and you pay attention to them, then again that observation disappears, right? So this way you can see, wherever you direct your attention, that very feeling, that very sensation, it disappears, right? So it is telling something. It is telling you that you have to be mindful without a particular object. Whatever the object you select, that disappears. Right? So that's what's happening. Right? So initially we take the refuge of breath to be mindful, but breath disappears. It is saying us that we should be going forward without the breath, right? That sign the breath is giving. You try to anchor yourself into some other sensation, that sensation disappears. Again, that very sensation is saying you to go forward without that support, right? So that type of experience you are having when you continue doing this very meditation for a while, you realize you can sustain your mindfulness without a particular object. That process you are in, you might have to go through many cycles, many more sittings, but during that process you will realize that you have to sustain the mindfulness without a particular object, and try to do that. You don't have to be, try to fix your attention in some space or somewhere. Instead, simply maintain your mindfulness. That's the very idea. Then, towards the latter part of the report, you're asking some questions that I will keep it open. You can experiment yourself. Try to observe that stiffness. Try to get rid of that. All options you can try. Then sitting for 3 hours, that also you can try and see. Right? Those things we are having some flexibility towards them, and it is important that you develop your own confidence. By trying various ways, you realize this is the best thing that works for me. Trying to sit like 3 hours, you might realize something about sitting longer. Right? So all those things are open for you to experiment, and especially in this type of a setting, we don't try to, it's not like a military training. We don't do regimentation. Instead, we give some guidelines and we keep it open for you. So there's this flexibility for you to experiment with it. By experimenting, you can develop your own confidence. You can develop your own practice. That is the important one. Otherwise, you can't simply copy and paste somebody else's practice. That's not how it's going to work. Our practice is unique to ourselves. So you have to figure out that unique practice that works for you. For that, you have to have some guidance, of course. But with this guidance, you experiment and you figure out your own practice, your own balance. That's how you can really grow. Otherwise, if we try to regimentation, then it's not going to help. Initially, you can get some idea, but later it becomes a hindrance. So we are open to trying those things. You can try and figure out your own balance.
Report number 5, walking meditation. Object of meditation, foot. After a couple of lengths, my mind settled on the sensations arising and passing on each foot. Feelings passed so quickly, I merely watched them pass. There was a distance between the watching mind and the feelings. Thoughts were present almost continuously in the periphery. A couple of times I got entangled in the thoughts and ended up feeling sad about a certain situation at home. I stopped, shook myself literally, and decided that the present moment will help shape the future, and restarted walking mindfully. The whole exercise was about 50 minutes. Sitting meditation. Object in and out breath. Relax the body and gradually attention was brought to the breath. After some time, breath became subtle, like rapid waves, and somewhat merged. At one time, it felt like a thin air curtain was flowing through me. Adjusted the legs due to severe discomfort. This was about 35 minutes after starting the practice. Daily activities. I see all experiences passing by so quickly. Even the meditation experiences I wanted to share as it happened. Now I feel happened so long time ago. Realize that most of the stresses are due to giving so much attention to what has happened in the past.
Okay, right. The first one is you feel this distance. That distance is very important. Now there's a gap or a distance between the thoughts and the observer. Whatever the things that happen, you have a certain distance. And although that distance is very little, that distance can do marvels. If, let's say, when you are in traffic, right? If you are in a traffic jam, you can't move forward, you can't move backward. So you simply get agitated, angry, honking, and getting out and trying to blame, right? That type of a behavior. Why? Because you are in the midst of traffic, right? But let's say someone is flying about that traffic jam. They are flying, and probably they have some distance, few hundred yards, and due to that distance, they don't feel that irritation. Simply, it's a scenery for them. All these different vehicles are arranged on the road, right? They can simply enjoy that and go their way, right? So you can see, due to that little difference, there's a huge change in the way they perceive it. Being amidst a traffic jam versus flying above a traffic jam. Right? Same goes for our thoughts, emotions, and things like that. Initially, you are amidst them. And it feels so irritating, difficult to handle, bear. But when you develop the practice, you realize there's a gap between the thoughts, emotions, and the observer. That very gap will save you. You feel the thoughts, but they are not so prominent as they used to be. The emotions, you feel them, but they are not so strong as they used to be. Right? That change is happening. And sometimes, although they are not so strong, the sadness and things like that come. Right? So when certain thoughts, certain memories come, it's okay to feel sad. Don't worry about it. Simply when it is sad, you feel the sadness. That's okay. In this world, most of the time we hear that it's okay to be happy. Right? But crying, being sad, it feels like that's not the correct thing. That type of a world we live in. They promote happiness only. You see this ideal image of a family being happy with children and all those things. But sadness is also a part of life. Same weight as probably happiness. So it's okay to be happy, but it's not okay to be sad according to this new age. But we are saying it's okay to be happy, and sometimes the other side of the coin comes. And when the sadness is there, simply you feel sad. What can you do? Right? It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to sometimes cry. Sometimes it's okay to break down. That assurance should be given, especially for the practitioners. When they feel they're sad, you don't have to deny that. You don't have to refuse that. Instead, let it be. Today you are sad, tomorrow you are happy. So that's fine. Right? So that type of a process is meditation. So you simply have to go through those experiences, and whenever you feel sad, just simply tell your mind it's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel this way. Right? And that's something important. That idea I have to give. And then there was something else towards the end of the report. No, I can't remember. The report writer also can't remember, no? So it's okay that I forget.
I see all experiences passing by so quickly. Even the meditation experience which I wanted to share happened and he has forgotten that.
Yes. So same as your report. I also forgot that. Right? It feels like a long time has passed from the report that you read. Right? So in a way, it's a good thing. You do a sitting session, but you feel like so many interesting things are there that I have to put into the report. But you come to write a report and you forget many of those things, right? So one day you will do 1 hour of walking and you will come out of it without any memories. You know that you were walking, you know that you felt certain things, but they are not so prominent or they are not so important, right? Same goes for the sitting. You sit for 1 hour, you were mindful, you had experiences, but when you get to writing or when you recall, you don't recall any importance, right? So that change is a good thing. And in your report you are mentioning that. Giving unnecessary importance to things. That's the issue, that's the problem that you say, right? So when you are mindful, when your mindfulness improves, you can see many of these sessions we go through them. But there is no real memory or there is no real value in them. That should be considered as a good thing. You will spend a whole day probably working. But at the end of the day, you don't recall anything valuable from it, right? You might talk to other people, you are mindful, you answer properly, but later when you recall, there is nothing of essence there, right? So that type of a change will happen. We have to appreciate that change. Most of the people, they are saying that now, earlier I used to meditate very fine, I had many experiences. Now I am not having any valuable experiences. Even the experiences that I have, I can't recall. That type of a complaint come. But you have to appreciate that change, right? Whenever you recall something, that's defilements, we can say. Whenever it goes to your memory, it's some kind of a defilement, we can say, right? So where things are experienced, you know that you were mindful, but later there is no real importance or there is no real essence. That's going to be the pathway towards peace. So when that quality arises, you have to appreciate that. And sometimes it lasts for a few days, then again the memory comes in and you start to recall everything. That's another phase. But again it will go into that peaceful, giving less importance to things, right? So that experience you have to go through and you have to tell yourself that it's a good thing, that you are not recalling many of the things. It's a good thing that these things feels far away. It's a good thing that you assign very little importance towards these things.
Report number 6, walking meditation. I am able to focus on the feet sensation successfully. I am able to feel up to thigh muscles. I feel void when I am not with thoughts, like a river stream without water. I feel boredom trying to complete the allotted time schedule. Can I take a break? I got a headache today. Sitting meditation. I am still working to focus on the breath. Thoughts flood in loops. I realize and search for the primary objective. I am not able to prolong my meditation once I wake up to angry thoughts. Other thoughts I am able to navigate, but angry thoughts shut me down or engage my mind without me realizing. Kindly suggest a solution.
Yes, so are you suggesting a meditation break from meditation? Or are you suggesting a break from simply living, right? So let's say forget about walking and sitting. That you can take a break from. But you can't take a break from the present experience, no? Right? You can take a break from the schedule, like walking, sitting all these hours. But you can't take a break from the experience, the present moment experience. So it's okay to take a break from the walking and sitting. That's fine. But you have to realize, although you are not walking or sitting, you are simply living. So the very practice becomes living gradually. As long as you live, you are mindful, you are dealing with the present moment experience. That becomes the very meditation, right? So you can take a break from the walking and sitting, but you won't be taking a break from meditation. That's the important thing you have to remember. No matter where you go, no matter whatever you do, you can simply be mindful and simply meditate, right? So try that. Try to see whether you can take a break from meditation. Maybe you will suggest being unmindful for a change. That type of a suggestion might come, right? So it's okay to take a break from walking and sitting, the usual schedule, but you won't be taking a break from meditation. Whatever you do, you can simply be mindful through them. And when the anger comes, you can't run away from this anger, no. That's not possible, right? You have to realize that you have suppressed anger. And especially during a retreat, they come to the surface. And when they come to the surface, you have to simply deal with that experience. You can't run away from it, right? You can't wish that the anger will disappear. That's not the case. Instead, you have to realize, due to certain past incidents, due to past causes, you have suppressed anger, and that is coming to the surface. How to get rid of it? Simply going through that experience mindfully. Notice that you feel so much anger within you, and maybe you can do some, probably like walking or some kind of exercise, right? Sweeping the grounds, something like that. That will help to calm down the mind a little. I have seen some people, they walk so fast at a high pace because their emotions are strong. And they continue the walking for a while, and towards the end of the walking session, they settle down, they calm down in the body because their emotions are also calmed down, right? So you can see those emotions come due to the past causes, right? That's what we are experiencing in the present moment. The present moment, it has past causes. And due to that, these suppressed anger, they come to the surface. So you have to accept it. You have to acknowledge that there is anger and simply continue. And that very acceptance will change the future state of your mind. The future state, you are creating causes in the present. Past causes are also adding, plus you are creating causes in the present. So if you want to change this mind for the better, then being mindful in the moment is the way. So simply let this anger be. You have to accept it. You have to somehow go through that very experience. That's the way to deal with it.
Report number 7. Walking meditation. Mindfulness walking. Mindfulness kept for nearly 1 lap to 2 laps. Could experience an improvement. Sometimes felt dizziness after doing it for a while. Would like to receive advice on this. Focus. Mindfulness breathing. Practicing a new posture, lotus, half lotus, is kept later for a while, as I would like to develop mindfulness breathing in my usual posture, sitting on a chair. Bante, following your advice, I am seeking characteristics of each breath in and out, experiencing various types of lights, darkness, emptiness, fullness. If breathing's gone out of focus, do I have to seek it and dig it out from all others and focus again? Please advise. Daily activities, mindfulness kept in while taking dana during thinking process.
Yes, so the drowsiness, it is a part of the practice, and sometimes it is considered as a good thing. When you loses the interest in the outside world, that also appears as a drowsiness, right? So we can talk about it in detail in the evening talk, but drowsiness, you have to simply accept it. It might be a sign that the meditation is working, right? So that's one thing. Then the breath, it's good that you are observing the details of it, and sometimes when the attention goes away or when the breath goes out of focus, it's okay. Allow the breath to come back again. You don't have to, force yourself so much. You have to balance the effort as well. Gracefully, we are observing the breath, right? So that effort, I think, according to your report, it feels like you are putting too much effort. That's why you are asking all those questions. What I suggest is simply gracefully observe the breath. You don't have to make it a struggle. That's not the way. Instead, you have to balance the effort and gradually develop the ability to observe these details of the breathing.
A yogi feels dizzy sometimes.
Yeah, so that's what we mentioned earlier. Dizziness could be a good sign, as I said earlier, like losing the interest of the outside world. So we will discuss it further during the talk today.
Report number 8, mindful walking meditation. Focus on sensation on foot, practical throughout the day. 50% of the time, mind stays with the meditation object. Following a session of sitting meditation, mind tends to stay more with the meditation object. Random thoughts come to mind and as distractions. However, mind comes back to the meditation object.
Yes, good. Allow those thoughts to come. It's part of the process, and you can simply continue the very observation again and again. That is how you can improve your practice.
Report number 9. After yesterday's Q&A, walked up to Valimalua mindfully. There were leaves scattered here and there. I picked up the big leaves mindfully and threw them away. Started the walking meditation mindfully, taking note of the sand rubbing on the foot except the arch. Focused on heels to toes, was able to keep my mind on the feet touching the ground most of the time, except when thoughts came to my mind, though they didn't last very long. When there were no thoughts, it was very peaceful. Seated meditation, meditation object breath. Seated comfortably, was watching the breath at the tip of my nose. The in-breath was shorter and the out-breath was longer. In-breath entered through left nostril and out-breath left through both nostrils. After about 15 breaths, things got blurred. I felt my body swaying and I may have dozed off. Got back to my breath. But this pattern kept repeating until towards the end, when my mind was with the breath. But the bell went off to go for dana.
Yes, one thing is that now you can try the parts in between. Being seated here, going to the vihara, you can try to be mindful in the part in between. Go for a break, drink some tea or something, try to be mindful during that part. Taking a wash, try to be mindful. Eating your lunch, try to be mindful. Not only during the walking and sitting, but even the other activities, day-to-day mindfulness, we try. That is how we can really sustain this practice. Otherwise, you are protecting your mind for a few hours, then the rest of the time, you let it run wild. That's not the way of the practice. So it's good that you tried being mindful about the walk in between. Starting from the meditation hall to the vihara, you are going that way mindfully. And you take the steps mindfully. You cross that bridge mindfully. That very idea is important. Then in your report also you are mentioning something about the surrounding being blurry or something. Now all these signs, dizziness, drowsiness, being blurry, can't out of focus, so all of these signs come as a result of the practice. Because if the outside world is so interesting, so colorful, then it's not happening. When the outside world becomes less interesting, colorless, then you realize you feel this dizziness. You feel you are out of focus. You feel blurry. You feel drowsiness. All these symptoms appear. So for meditators, we suggest that you take these symptoms as good signs, good omens. When you have so much interest in the outside world, that won't happen. When the outside world is so colorful, it won't happen, right? So these signs, we consider them as good signs. They might not be good according to the outside world, but according to the practice, they are good signs. Some people, they start hearing some kind of ringing sound in their head, right? And they come and complain, I have some disease, ear problem, or something like that. And if they go to a doctor, they will diagnose them. They will say some brain tumor or something like that is there, so you have to go and check, right? But according to the practice, when you go into the silence, you can hear this ringing sound. We say sound of silence. Sound of silence can appear in two ways. One is full silence, the other one is this ringing sound in your head. It is not coming from the ears, it's your brain, right? So those are considered as good signs. Then you feel that the surrounding world is blurry. And you might say that you have to go check your eyes, right? That might of a suggestion come. But according to meditation, according to the practice, we say it's a good thing. If the surrounding is blurry, then you can't take any defilements out of it. Create any issues out of it. Someone come and talk to you, can't see the face. So it's a good thing, no? Somebody came, said something, even the sounds were not clear, right? And went away. No memory, no defilements, nothing. Right? So you can see that type of a change. Are we welcoming or are we fighting? That's the question that we have to ask. Some of you might worry that you won't be able to survive in the outside world. You will say that if this happens, if this continues, I'll get fired from my job. That type of a idea. But it's going to be okay. Only during these few days, this will last. Then when you go back to the outside world, again the world will be colorful, so interesting. Right? But again you have to come to a retreat and again appreciate these qualities. Right? So that way we go to the outside world, we come to a retreat, we go and deal with the outside world, we sit in meditation. Right? That type of a process is the path, that type of a process is the practice.
Last report. Duration 40 minutes, 80% of focus, meditation object sensation of the breath on the upper lip and nostrils. Mind came into the meditation object very easily. Breath gradually faded away. As the breath faded away, mind entered an ill-defined area which I find difficult to explain. While on that stage, I was able to focus on the breath. I let the mind dwell in that ill-defined territory and the breath equally, focused on how the breath changed with the time. Once I came out of the meditation, mind was more alert and was able to maintain mindfulness on walking without much effort. Intermittently, mind was distracted by the laziness.
Yes, so it's difficult to define that experience. Difficult to explain that experience, right? So it's a good thing. Most of the people, they go mute, when they go deep into the meditation. Usually we say meditation will take you from known to unknown. Known is the world you live in, right? That type of world you know how to explain. All those things are there. But when you go to the unknown, you lose words. You can't put it into a sentence, right? You struggle to explain the experience. Although we try in a meditation report, it is not successful, right? But it's a good thing. Now you are in new territory. You are going to the unknown. And when you go to the unknown, you become mute. You go beyond the words, right? That's why Buddha says, don't try to define arahants. If you try to define arahants, you will lose. Because they have gone beyond the words, right? And they become mute. Even the Pacceka Buddha is considered as mute, no? He is a good representation of Dhamma. He has gone there, but he is mute. Can't explain, right? So it's a good representation. The real Dhamma or real experience, you can't really explain it. You can't put it into words. Even the teaching, it's an unsuccessful attempt to put it into words. Buddha is trying. Buddha is saying, I can explain this in short terms. I can explain it lengthy. But the people who understand, they are rare to find. Right? So the words might direct you towards the practice. But when you really go there, when you really develop the practice, you realize that very experience you can't really explain with words. Right? So that's a good thing. We hear somebody else's words, we start practicing, and when we develop the practice, we become more and more mute. Right? Being silent. That's a good representation of Dhamma. Right? And there's this very nice Zen story that one monk, he's meditating under a tree, and he can feel that flower petals are dropping on him. Right? So he looks around, he can't see anybody, but the flower petals are continuing dropping on him. Then he thought maybe some devas are involved. So he was asking, why are you dropping flower petals on me? Then the devas appear, they say, that's because Bhante, you have said a very nice sermon on silence. Not the silence that we talked yesterday. Instead of they are saying that Nibbana or something. Right? You have said said a sermon on Nibbana. That's why we are appreciating you with the flower petals. Then he is asking, I said nothing, no. I didn't do any preachings. Then the devas are saying, yes, Bhante, you didn't say anything. And we didn't ask. We didn't ask. That's the best sermon on silence. Right? They didn't ask and he said nothing. Right? That's the best sermon on silence, on the practice. So you will go more and more mute. Right? That's considered as a good thing. Continue and see or experience for yourself. Right, so we are done. We have about 50 minutes. We will gather here at 2:45 for a sitting session.